Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. It's Andre Davis with our new narrative, and today I wanted to talk about something that I talked about before, the Trayvon Martin hoax documentary. I just had a nice long conversation with one of my best friends about this documentary, and I thought it'd be a good time to revisit it and put it in context of some historical information I found. So if you haven't heard of the Trayvon Martin hoax documentary, it's basically the filmmaker does a documentary exposing how the black community was manipulated by the media and politicians to basically secure votes. It's definitely an informative video. I've recommended it to everyone I could. It's full of facts. Don't let the messenger get in the way of the message. I think it's something that needs more visibility just so we can see what is really going on behind the scenes and how certain narratives get play and certain narratives don't. So without going and reviewing the documentary, I'll just tell you that the Zimmerman basically filed a lawsuit against the state of Florida, the attorney Crump, a book publisher, and members of the Martin family, based on the information that came out in this documentary. The documentary just blew me away, and the reason why is because I was very, very upset about what happened to Trayvon Martin based on the information that was presented to me by the mass media. I became more upset after I found out that most of what was presented to me in the mass media was either a blatant lie or at a minimum misleading. There were several victims in this tragedy, and the ultimate victim was Trayvon Martin. And the documentary, I believe, presented Trayvon Martin in the best light that they could. I believe he was very fair to Trayvon Martin. I believe the producer of the documentary was very fair to Mr. Zimmerman and the other actors involved, including the witness that was presented to America, who turned out to be a fake witness. So that's what the documentary is basically about, how a fake witness got before America and testified concerning an incident she had nothing to do with, wasn't there, wasn't on the phone call when she supposedly was. It was totally someone else. And the documentary actually finds this person, who the real person was, and is proven beyond a shadow of a doubt through back and forth emails, texts, a Twitter account between the real girlfriend of Trayvon Martin and the fake person that we all got to know on TV back in 2012. Now, subsequent to watching this video, something else made me even more upset. Someone sent me a link to a small channel, or I don't know, it was a news program that presented a lot of the information that the Trayvon Martin hoax documentary presented. And here it is if you want to go check it out. This small, I don't know if it was a news channel or whatever, but they laid out a lot of the facts, or at least questioned a lot of the facts that were the supposed facts that were presented to us on TV. And that was in 2013. And apparently that got buried. Nobody wanted to touch it. But the producer, Mr. Joe Gilbert, did more than touch it. I mean, he stumped all over it. And again, I just recommend that people view it with an open mind and listen for the facts of the case. And it's hard to come away with a conclusion that doesn't say that the African American community and a lot of liberals who are not African American were manipulated by this prosecution. And God rest Trayvon Martin. You know, we've all been kids making silly mistakes or going down the wrong path, and hopefully one day we get back on that right path. That night, Trayvon made some bad choices that involved Zimmerman, and Trayvon lost his life. And no kid deserves that. And on the other hand, the facts presented that, not my opinion. The facts in the case, police reports, ear witnesses, right? Physical evidence presented to a court of law, stated that Zimmerman was justified in his use of self-defense. Unfortunately, his use of self-defense was carried out with a gun that led to Trayvon losing his life. So again, rest in peace, Trayvon Martin. But I hate that Trayvon Martin's tragedy was used to spearhead a mission or a political agenda that has not helped people in the black community. In fact, it's only done damage to the black community. Now, with that said, like I always do, I'm gonna present some historical facts for you, at least history-based history. I'm gonna present some history and tell you where I got the history from. So today, I'm reading out of this book. I don't know if you can see it. Reconstruction. That's bad. Okay, there it is. Reconstruction by Eric Forner. Right? The Unfinished Revolution. Great book, highly recommend it. If you haven't heard of it, you've heard of it now. Run out and get it. And I'm gonna tie this in with Trayvon Martin's tragedy, right? So on 218 of this book, I'm gonna read the key to post-war politics. They believed lay in changing the focus of debate from slavery to race. And the context of that sentence is as follows. I'm gonna put that sentence in the context, basically. President Andrew Johnson was talking to then Postmaster General, the first Postmaster General, Montgomery Blair. And they believed that the key to post-war politics, that's Civil War. This is Andrew Johnson, not Lyndon. This is Civil War. Andrew Johnson came into the White House after the assassination of Lincoln, okay? So, and as you recall, Lincoln was a Republican and Andrew Johnson was a Democrat. Don't know if you know that, but basically the people who lost the war, the Confederacy and the Democratic Party, was kind of blessed to get a Democrat into the White House by an unfortunate assassination. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But as far as politics are concerned, they believe, meaning Andrew Johnson, Democratic president, and his buddy, Mr. Blair, Montgomery, they believe that, hey, the key to politics, we can't win on slavery now. Slavery's over. We can't scare like poor whites to vote in these policies that secure slavery. We can't do that anymore. So what can we do to secure votes? Well, we can make everything about race. And they've been doing it ever since. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I will present other evidence of this in other videos. But this just shows you how politicians have been using race to drum up votes, to secure a voting bloc since the Civil War. And before people in the comments leave comments like I'm hating on the Democrats, I will tell you that the blueprint for this came out of the Republican Party after the Civil War. The Republicans went down to the South, ushered in a whole bunch of Republican policies with the help of the newly emancipated slaves. Well, the newly emancipated who could now vote. So for the black communities, the new emancipated communities' benefit or detriment, I'm gonna say benefit, the Republican Party was able to issue in Republican ideas and policies with the help of the black vote. Now, that was to the detriment of a lot of Confederates. And if you know anything about real history, one of the reasons for the original Klan was they felt that they were not being represented at all. And all of the policies being implemented into law only benefited Northern Republicans, carpetbaggers and scallywags, right? And so the effect of that was the original version of the Ku Klux Klan. Now, what they went around doing was hanging a bunch of Republicans. And if you know anything about history, if you were in the South and you were black, you were not a Democrat. You were a Republican. So hanging from trees alongside white Republicans were black Republicans. So I think that's important to know. And then you had another iteration of the Ku Klux Klan that came about with the Wilson administration and Jim Crow laws. That was basically a racist, just we want to be racist, right? But I digress. Anyway, I'm gonna end it here. Go out and get a copy of Reconstruction, America's Unfinished Revolution. In the comments section, again, I will leave a link to organizations that are currently fighting the fight against slavery. You can go there, get involved, and help put an end to this horrible institution that has plagued mankind since history has been able to be written, right? So if you want to do more than complain about what happened to other people in the past and help people that is happening to right now, click on that link, check it out, donate, get involved, at least get educated, and I'll see you next time.